Welcome back to the Homestead, everyone. Today we have an important video for you. I want you to stay around for the entire video because we're going to be talking about something that's really important here on the Homestead, and that's an individual first aid kit. I take this around with me on the property everywhere, and I'm going to talk about what's inside here. There are a myriad of different injuries that you need to be prepared for on your homestead. There are a ton of different types of injuries that you can get. One of the most common, obviously, is a cut, possibly a deep cut from your knife or another tool like an axe. There are also a ton of different crushing injuries, like dropping one of these on your foot or smashing your finger in between it. There's always the potential for a pinching or crushing injury, and that can come from something like hydraulics. Don't ever get your hand stuck in there or you're going to have a problem. Another really common injury on a homestead is a broken bone. That most commonly comes from falling off a ladder, falling out of a tree, or falling off a roof, but you can sustain those in a lot of different ways. And last but not least, probably the worst injury you can receive on a homestead is a deep cutting wound. And that's going to be usually given to you by one tool, and that's your chainsaw. You need to be prepared for that. Hey, if you haven't already done so, go below and hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate having you here on a permanent basis. All right, now let's check out what we have inside of our IFAK. All right, let's check out what we have in our kit. Now this kind of comes apart. We do usually keep it in this larger bag here, and we've got a few extra things in here we're going to show you in a minute. This can be used for if you come upon an accident, if you're first aid and CPR certified and you know what you're doing, you can help someone out. But we want this to be with you at all times on your homestead, just in case you sustain an injury and you aren't close to your phone, or your family's gone for the day, or if you're even by yourself. So let's open this up and check it out. So there are two types of things you're going to come across. One, you're working on your homestead, and one is kind of a boo-boos and band-aids kind of deal. And these little injuries you get, little cuts, little scrapes, little things like that that you need to close up and take care of, or else you're going to bleed all over your clothes all day long. But having that ability in this kit is good too. Now, all those injuries I talked about earlier need to maybe be addressed with something a little bit larger. And so we've got our boo-boos and band-aids in here, as a tactical rifleman likes to say. I think it's hilarious, so I'm using it. We've got a ton of different types of band-aids in here for all those cuts and scrapes you get when you just don't want to bleed all over whatever you've got, or you need to stop the bleeding. We've got on this side, of course, some shears, but that's if you only need to cut away some clothing. We've got, of course, some antibiotic ointment, we've got some alcohol wipes, and we've got some pain medication. And all those are really useful. And we probably need to stock this up a little bit more. I think I'm running low from the injuries that I've had here. I guess they're not injuries, they're just boo-boos and little cuts. But we need to stock that up just a little bit more. We can fit more in this bag. So the bigger things here are maybe a little bit more important for a lot of those other injuries I talked about, especially the deep cuts. Maybe you missed with your axe, glanced off the side of a log and stuck yourself in the leg. That is not a good deal. We have a lot of gauze. We've got a lot of gauze here in our pack. We've got some rolled gauze, we've got some flat dressings that we can pack in a wound. Of course, we've got tape, and we've got two different types of tape. Of course, we got some medical tape, but something that works really well is some duct tape. I always keep a roll of duct tape like this. Just take it off the roll and roll it up yourself. It's really handy, and it comes in handy for putting bandages on that are larger bandages that you need to secure. We've, of course, got some betadine swabs. That's important as well. If you've got a deep cut that really needs to be disinfected, you can get in there and disinfect yourself and disinfect the wound before you can get to some other type of treatment. So we've got all that in here. We also have butterfly stitches. If you've got a fairly slim cut, say you've cut yourself with your knife on your hand, and you probably are going to need stitches, and the little band-aids aren't helping, and the gauze is maybe just too big for the area, you can put on these little butterfly closures, and these are really, really handy for something that you're going to eventually need stitches for, or maybe you'll let it heal on your own with using these, but they work really, really well. I find that these go a long way in a first aid kit. All right, let's talk about some of the more serious things in here. More on the, I guess you could say, the trauma side. These are borderline on the trauma side, and they can be used for that. But we've got an Israeli bandage. Now, what that is essentially is similar to what we've got over here. Is that just a large piece of gauze, sterile gauze, that's attached to a ace bandage, and you basically just wrap it around. And it applies a great amount of pressure because you can really squeeze it and tighten it down with that incorporated ace bandage. These are nice. It's not 100% necessary if you've got some ace bandages and a large amount of gauze, but you can see the size of this. This is for more of a very large wound. This is 4 inches, and all these little gauze packs in here I have are much smaller. All right, let's take a look at our other side over here. Oh, more on the boo-boos and band-aids deal. We've got some moleskin, and that's if you get, whatever blisters, if you're working outside and your boots, you have bad boots, or bad feet like me, and it doesn't matter what kind of boots you have. Of course, we've got some gloves, some sterile gloves. We also have some non-sterile gloves in here, just if you need extra gloves. We've got 1 pair of sterile gloves and more just regular gloves. We've also got some C-locks, or these quick clots. It's a clotting agent in these. I always carry these with me, and these are going to help stop your bleeding much faster. These are really important to have if you've got like that chainsaw injury, that deep gash. Maybe you've almost severed your limb. You're going to need something to stop that blood really fast, and these come in incredibly handy. So I always recommend having those on you or in your kit. Now, this is controversial. This is a tourniquet. This is a Cat 5 tourniquet, and these are dangerous to use. I'm going to come out and say it right now. These are dangerous to use. This is in a serious life and death situation. Say that chainsaw came through, say it got through my chaps, say I hit my femoral artery, and I'm going to bleed out in a matter of, a short period of time, and I need to save my life or somebody else's life. But doing that and putting these on, they can be put on incorrectly. They can be put on too tight. You need to be extremely careful because there's a high instance of losing limbs when using a tourniquet. They're basically to save your life and potentially not save your limb, although it can save your limb. So be very careful. Only use this in extreme situations. Now, I have that all in this little Adventure Medical Kits Day Tripper. I think this is a perfect size. It's like 9 inches by 6 inches maybe. And what's cool is it's got these little belt loops on the back. And what you can do, and what I do, is I will attach it to my chainsaw chaps if I'm chainsawing. So in that instance, if I do get hurt using that chainsaw, I have it right there on me, and I can access it very, very quickly, which if you have a chainsaw injury, you're going to need to do. So it is, the belt from the chaps comes right through here, and it stays on me when I'm working with the chainsaw. All right, in here we talked about broken bones. This is a cool SAM splint. It's basically padded aluminum. You're going to take your ace bandage, and mold this around any broken bone. Just use it as a splint. Of course, you can use a couple sticks. Yeah, if you're a mountain man, go for it. If you don't have anything else, you don't have one of these, obviously sticks will work, and an ace bandage or something to tie them up. Wilderness medicine is fantastic, and I encourage you to study up on it. But having one of these handy is great too, and I've obviously never used it, and it stays in my kit all the time, so it's a good thing to have. Of course, I said I've got other gloves. I've got more gauze in here. I've got more tape in here. So it doesn't matter what job you're doing out on your property. We always want you to be prepared. We want you to have these things that are necessary to help you out if you get injured on your homestead and you're, say, half an hour from the nearest hospital like we are. We have a lot of other great information for you on our channel page, so head on over there and check out all of our other videos. Also, if this was helpful for you, hit that like button and share it with your friends. Head on over to our website at countrylivingexperience.com. Check out our tool store. This is in there and the other individual pieces. Thank you and have a great day.